We know a ton of you are huge Overwatch fans, and we are so grateful for their support of Kinda Funny Live. Thank you again, Overwatch teams at Blizzard and Activision. Are you excited for Overwatch? If you haven't bought it yet, check out Amazon.com/Overwatch to learn more about the game.
Kinda Funny Live 2 is this Saturday and Sunday. If you haven't got your tickets already, go get them at kindafunny.com/tickets.
Nick, what's your topic?
Segueing. My topic is actually Lois C.K. I heard an interview with him. Exactly. Heard an interview with him on The Business, which is a phenomenal podcast about the business, the movie business, regarding Horace and Pete, the show that he did, that he basically, if you're not familiar with this was a big story a while back. A lot of people said he was losing money on it. He decided to self-fund his own TV show and put it on his website. Now, he didn't tell anyone about it. He released it on a Saturday, like Saturday morning, purposely so that the media wouldn't pick it up as quickly, because he just wanted to market it to the audience that he knew would like it, which was the people on his website that had purchased his comedy shows before. So he said he only had an email list of, I don't know how many thousand people that had actually purchased from him. And he said, these are the people this is for. If I market it, I have to market it to a bunch of people who don't want this thing, don't like it, and I have to convince them that they should like this. And a good portion of them are going to say, fuck you. Like, why are you putting this in front of me? I don't want you to put this in front of me. And then a good portion might try it and hate it. And then there's a small portion that might be his loyal following. So I just wanted to get your guys' perspective on this, because he said that now he's forecasting that into June and July, he will actually start to make his money. Like, he will break even on it. And then he can then take it to Netflix or to Hulu or to Vimeo or wherever he wants to go, whatever the next platform is. But it's fascinating to me that a guy of his stature, because he is arguably one of the most well-known comedians in mainstream media today, would choose to do that and copy us, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Like, copy how we do things, right? Which is just to develop our own little audience, market to our audience, and just live in that ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's actually a really funny thing. I've been reading articles that aren't about that, but they're about how a lot of actors and actresses are upset at influencers and how influencers are taking their jobs and stuff. I mean, there's a whole bunch. It's a really big thing now. And people are like, oh, these people with followings, like, they don't need to fucking work hard, and, you know, they're taking our jobs. And it's like, to an extent, it's like, I get the sentiment, but it's like, that's discrediting.
You're in rare form today, by the way, Colin. Rare form. Sorry, Tim.
That's discrediting all the work that the influencers put into creating that following. Having said that, are these actors better than these actors? I don't know. Like, it's not one or the other thing. Like, some of the influencers could be great actors. Like, if you have the business acumen to kind of figure out how to do both, then good for you, you know? I think that with this, it's kind of that same thing where it's just like, that's a perfect example of, I'm lumping him with actors, sure. But mainstream,
I would,
where they're like, he's being smart. He's like, all right, I have a following. How can I use it instead of just having a Twitter following that doesn't actually mean anything? How do I actually engage with the people that engage with my content?
Right.
You know, I think it's super smart. What interests me about what you're saying is, so it's about to hit, you know, making back its money so that now it can go on Netflix. So it's
he could have put it whenever he wanted to, but I think he did it knowing that it wasn't going to be like a smash success, but he did it as just a test to see what it would be like, just to market to the people who he knows like him, who actually, and there's a difference between people that like him, people that are, you know, as we know, like people who are actually willing to show their support monetarily. And so from what I understand, he didn't want help making this thing. He wanted to control it all himself, which I understand completely from a creative standpoint. And when you go through a studio or go through Netflix, they usually have a say in it. He just wanted to see what it was like to make something of high quality. I mean, we're talking, this has great actors in it, right? It's Steve Buscemi, Alan Alda, Jessica Lange, like all these people that you would look and be like, that
love Alan Alda.
Like that, Alan Alda's awesome, right? I mean, he's an amazing actor, has been for the last 74 years. But yeah, I think it's fascinating because I think that there is that sort of feeling right now, right? It's to your point. Like I saw a couple of those articles too. I forget who the actress was that was talking about influencers, but she was talking in such a negative light. And when I originally heard the story about Lois C.K., and I'm actually a Lois C.K. fan, my first thought was, stay in your own world over there, buddy. Don't come into our world and try to market because you're going to lose money. You don't understand how this works. But then I'm like, no, that's stupid, because what he's really trying to do is evolve, which is all you can really, this is what you have to do. You have to evolve or die. And so I think you're going to see more of that. and I would love. I mean, I'm sure I don't know if he's ever going to actually share like how many purchases he's gotten, but you see him experimenting. Like he was talking about how they were releasing it episode by episode, and then it went down, and then they released the entire season, and guess what? It went up. And they did it for like a discounted rate.
So here's my question. I don't know. I didn't know anything about this. I hadn't heard about this. Yeah. I'm just not that in tune with the entertainment industry.
No one did because he didn't tell anyone about it.
But this happened a while ago,
yeah,
right?
It was a while back.
Yeah. So like when you're saying he emailed it or hit everybody up, was he saying buy this, or is this just something that's available to you?
Gave him the download link. So this is available for purchase if you want it. If you guys want it. This is my brand new show. It's available to you guys first.
Interesting.
And supposedly now he's getting to a point where, he's broken even. I mean, he funded it out of pocket apparently, and then spent all his money that he had allotted for it because he's got a lot of money. But he allotted for it and then went and got a loan.
I was gonna say I think he spent a lot. Like I think he actually like maybe
spent a lot of
went broke. Like I think as far as the things I understand, like he definitely like burned through a lot of his own money. You wouldn't have to take out a loan if.
I mean, I think he talked about, he wouldn't talk specifics in the interview that I heard him with, but he was talking about how it's enough so that he worried about it. Yeah. Not that he was never going to be. I mean, because Lois C.K. could
just go
shit a tour out of his ass.
I think what he said is like, I would just tour and make the money
again. $10 million.
All right. So this is the thing I was thinking about this because I read about this a while ago. So I think that this is way more calculated than a lot of people are giving credit for. And I think that he's kind of, I don't want to say full of shit because I like Lois C.K. I don't think he's full of shit, but I think this was the part of the game, which was like, I'm going to make a comedians and like, getting coffee like in cars, whatever kind of style, guerrilla kind of thing. It's not the same. It's definitely not gonna have the same power that had, but and I'm gonna make it, and I'm gonna talk, and I'm gonna release it kind of guerrilla style, and then I'm going to talk about how no one knew about it and make it cool and stuff. Like I think this was totally calculated from the ground level. I don't think that like any of this was as random as people are making it out to be. And like that's why I respect Lois C.K. and that's why I think that so with comedy, I think that world is way more congruent with our world than a lot of people think. Like comedy's about grinding and then kind of resonating with a certain audience and becoming really big. Like my favorite comedian right now is Anthony Jeselnik. Like, and that guy is fucking ridiculous, right? Like that guy is super inappropriate. Like when something terrible happens in the world, you go to his Twitter account and like, sure as shit, he's the first one to make an awful joke about a very serious thing because he didn't give a fuck. And that's like what made him big. So he had his own thing. He took a lot of risks in order to do that and alienated a lot of people, but he became big. And so I think that there's like some congruence with like influencers, YouTubers, or whatever with comedy because it's a grind. It's very much like music. So as opposed to like getting your first shot in a movie or TV show where someone sees you and then a huge audience sees you, you actually have to go like club to club or venue to venue and like build up your thing. And so I even though Louis C.K. had his FX show and still has his FX show and all that kind of stuff.
But he did exactly what you're talking about for a number of years.
So I respect the shit out of what he's doing. And I think when I saw this, I was like, this is a super calculated and actually really savvy and smart move. And you're gonna make a shit ton of money on this because it pulls a little bit on your sympathy strings, but I think people know that there's a little more to this than meets the eye. And like, it's part of the marketing campaign for this is to make it seem like it's a guerrilla thing and no one knew about it. And now the person brags that they knew about it and then you have to go buy it and all these kind of things. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that he made some mistakes. I'm sure he was scared that he was going to lose his money because he had like built up probably a pretty significant fortune doing his show and his tours. He's expensive to see.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, like I feel like this is not as bold maybe as originally thought because I think he's Louis C.K. and if he wants to flex his muscles and make it happen, he's going to happen. If Comedy Central wanted that show, or I'm sure he could have gotten big TV.
He said he could have. Yeah. He said he could have, and he just chose not to.
So like that's what I'm saying is like he's in an interesting position where like he put it all on the line, kind of, but like he can just go tour.
It was still a risk, but he definitely had a parachute.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was my first gut reaction too. As soon as you said the thing, where I'm like, all right, this is totally planned. I think it's a brilliant plan. It's the same thing as Beyonce putting out her album out of nowhere. And it's like, well, okay, of course you're Beyonce. Like, of course it's going to do well.
Sure.
Even Radiohead, like when they first did the pay what you want thing, it's not so much that is it brilliant or not. That at the time definitely was brilliant. That was a game changer in the way that, people distribute content. That's what we do. Like so much of that, I don't even think Patreon could exist if that, moment didn't happen.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's like, it's not that it was a brilliant idea. It's the fact that it was different. So it's like instead of spending a bunch of money on marketing to get, little square ads to be on IGN, like you're just putting it's not even so much money as much as the effort in a different way. And like if you can make headlines for how you're marketing your thing, you're going to be way better off than putting anything into any other form of marketing.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that was it. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it's probably a combination of both, right? I think there is a current of people everywhere because the traditional model was always pour a ton of money behind a pilot of some sort, get it out in front of the public, market the shit out of it, spend a lot more money on marketing and hope to God that people like it enough to order more episodes of this thing, right? And now we're seeing a shift of, instead of spending all that money over here, let's spend a little less money and just try to like do what the influencers quote unquote are doing, which is like garner your own audience and then market to them. And you can't spend, like, we couldn't afford to spend $100,000 on an episode of anything that we do here. Like, it just wouldn't happen. But we do have pretty decent margins that keep us all fed. And I think that's what people are struggling. That's what you're going to start to see more and more in the coming years with TV and film specifically, as people like Rooster Teeth go, well, we don't really need Warner Brothers, even though I think they did partner with Warner Brothers, but they partnered with a studio, I think, to do something. I can't remember what it was.
Out in Japan?
Oh, yeah. They partnered with WB Japan to get Ruby in Japan.
There you go.
Yeah.
We know our facts.
So that makes sense, but realistically, like, RT doesn't really need anyone. They've got 8 million subscribers that they can market to, right?
I mean, look at their $1 million buck game.
Exactly.
That's the point, right?
It's ridiculous. $10,000 asked. What are they up to? Like 700,000 or 600,000 now?
They're coming up on 800. Okay. But again, that's just a way to pre-order.
Oh, no, but
Sure, but it's a way to give away more than the $20 the game would cost.
And to make headlines too.
Yeah,
exactly.
Also true.
But
And
also
they're using
to-
Kickstarter, not Indiegogo, which I think is really
Because
interesting.
they've gone back and forth between those two, right? So
Well, Indiegogo
Laser
was
Team was
the movie,
Indiegogo.
and it's like, but that's the whole thing.
so they're probably fighting behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's about all of this, like
getting us percentages.
the headlines, and I think it's great. I love this shit so much.
Oh no, but it's fascinating because, like, you hear those actors, the people in mainstream traditional media who have fought so hard to get to that place. But what that tells me when someone says, "Oh, these influencers, yada yada," is that behind that sarcasm or that anger is a fear of them not being in control ultimately of their own destiny. Like, no one is. There's no such thing as being 100% in control of anything. But the five of us control our livelihood a lot better than someone who is a day player on a television show right now, who may or may not, whose character may or may not come back or might need to get killed off for some plot line, and they may never work again. Same with film actors, right? Where, like, Chris Pratt's hot right now. 2 years, like Ryan Reynolds was hot 10 years ago, right? Up until Deadpool, he was really not getting any work. Now, granted, I don't think he was hurting for money, but still, he's not in control of his own destiny until he took something like a project like Deadpool and was able to push it through and be the main force behind that. We're doing that on a micro level every day here. And so it's interesting to me that a guy like Lois C.K. would be like, I can work with these people and that's cool. Or I could market to the smaller audience, have way more all creative control over this, control over my destiny in general, and just maybe get I can get my money back from these people. I've proven from the sales of my other stuff that it might take 13 months, but I will get the money back, and then I'll be in the black and marketing more and making more money off this thing.
Yeah, it's so, all of that is so interesting. Like, I've reflected a lot recently about, you know, what we do compared to what I did at IGN and all this stuff. And it's like, it's funny because I'm at the point now where we've done this so long that I can't fathom working a real job. You know, it's just like, it's like, what is, this isn't a job to me. This is just my life. And I feel like I don't have a job. I work super hard, but it's weird that, like, we represent such a small percentage of the world. And it's like, it's selfish in so many ways. And I feel like it's kind of alienating in a lot of ways that I can't even really put my head in the same headspace that like the majority of the world is in when I'm thinking about stuff. I'll be talking to my friends. They're talking about taking their CPA exams or this or that. And I'm like, fuck, like, you're in school right now. Like, that blows my mind. But it's like, I don't know. It's all that combination of hard work, luck, this and that. But, like, even that, what we have going for us is like, wow, why? You know? And it's like, you can answer that question, but it's not like you can reliably do this, and this, and you'll get that. You know what I mean? There is like so many X factors. It's not even just one. And I think that that's kind of the weird magic of all of this. It's just like with Louis, he somehow got to where he's at, and he needs to use that to keep getting wherever he's going. Because, like, we couldn't have done this without IGN. Well, we couldn't have got to IGN without doing X, Y, or Z, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, we couldn't have got to there without something else. And it's just really weird how everything works together to get you where you're at. But I really respect people that are constantly trying to think of, all right, I'm where I'm at now. How do I take that to the next level? Or how do I keep trying to adapt? Because it's the moment that you stop, and it's the moment that you're just like, I'm okay, that it all ends.
Yep, it's true.
Keep adapting, keep evolving. Louis C.K.
Species. That was
Michael Madsen. Remember that joint? Yeah. Who was the girl in it? You remember the girl's name? You remember all the girls' names?
No, I got Yvonne Strahovski on my it's not her. It's Natasha Henstridge.
There it is.
That's who it is.
And just before we go on, a healthy shout out to Alan Alda, whose best role is in The West Wing. And so
wasn't he on MASH?
He was in MASH forever. Yeah.
But in the West Wing, in the West Wing, he was Awesome.
I don't remember him though. Maybe I didn't get that far.
He's the second. He's the guy that runs for the GOP nomination in the second half of the season, or like in the last 2 seasons, and then becomes Secretary of State because he loses the election. Spoilers to a show that ended 11 years ago.
I never watched it though, so
Fucking awesome.
I watched the
I'm
first 2
halfway
seasons.
through it.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry,
now you know how it
I
ends.
just ruined it for Greg.
No, I remember because I was a fan. That's how I knew I wanted to watch it from back in the day.